Well, good evening and welcome to Caps Off. It's a beautiful July night out, and I have a special guest with us tonight. Rob Flack, our member of provincial parliament, Elgin-Middlesex-London, is here tonight to talk about all things St. Thomas and Elgin-Middlesex-London. So please, if you have questions, you know where to put them in the chat, and we'll try and get to all of them. But Graydon, what a great choice tonight for an outdoor show at Caps Off. It comes with refreshments.
Good refreshments.
Yes, and great questions. And so we're counting on you, our at-home audience, our on-computer audience, to help us with some of this tonight. But Rob, just it's been a couple weeks now, and I bet it's been a whirlwind. All right,
It's been a big whirlwind, Bill. Thanks, and thanks for inviting me. It's
Yeah.
great to be here, and we saw Rick and Fran a few minutes ago, and it's great to be at Caps Off again. I must admit, this isn't the first time I've frequented this establishment. It's a wonderful spot, a little hideaway, a tuckaway here in St. Thomas. So no, it's been like a little bit drinking from a fire hose.
Yes.
I retired from my job at Master Feeds as CEO on Thursday last, after nearly 43 years of service, and so from June 2nd till then, I was in a transition mode. But as of Monday morning, I got up and I drove to St. Thomas, as I said I would, and I'm proud to be at the Queso station on the second floor, where the MPP's office has been for many years now.
Well, and what a great place to be. It's the center of town
Fantastic.
here in St. Thomas. Karen's office on the same floor at the other end. And many people have got used to not only having an issue that the member of provincial parliament might help them with, but what the member of parliament could help them with too. And the staff in both of those offices end up working so well together. Look, I go back to a time when it was Steve Peters was a member of provincial parliament here, and we started having these once a month meetings and once a month meetings with our staff. And I remember somebody coming up to Steve and I when we're sitting someplace one night and going, "What are you two doing?" And I said, "Well, we're talking about what would be good for St. Thomas and Elgin-Middlesex-London." And they said, "Yeah, but you're in different parties, you're in different governments." And I said, "Yes. And that's why we have to talk."
Sure.
Rob, you're finding the same thing, I think, with Karen and
Absolutely.
with
Well,
the 10 mayors you have.
10 municipalities, and Karen and I, yes, are just down the hall from one another, and already, we're getting staffed up here. Deb Ransom is my EA, and she's running our office, and we've got a couple of great ladies in there, and Shirley Slats and Barb Gonyu
Right.
is great, and we're looking for a couple more. So that's happening, and already I think the trail, they're wearing out a path down the second floor, back and forth. If it's a
Where do we
provincial-
keep the?
That's
Yeah.
right. So Karen's been a great help and a great support, and we had a great Canada Day, and I should say we got sworn in the last couple of weeks, and that was a fun experience. But the reality's kind of hit now. The legislature's going to sit on
Yep.
August the 8th. So we're back in business, and the party's over, so to speak. So it's roll up the sleeves times and get it done.
Well, and it really comes down to that, Rob. It's not who got elected or why or when. Sometimes it's we got to go back to making things right. There's some things in Ontario that are going fantastically, and some things in Ontario we need to do a little better. The same thing in St. Thomas. I mean, we have our stuff we have to work on, and that's why your conversations with me and my conversations with you and Karen make a huge difference. That we don't live in that bubble. We cannot do it without the help of other levels of government, or at least the discussion with other levels of government. The answer is yes, I hope, but sometimes it's not. But knowing that means then let's work on something else. And so that's where our discussions and our conversations have to come through. Look, and I grew up in politics and did a lot of it. And so many of the ministers in your government I also know. But the great help is the fact that we both can talk to them and say, St. Thomas would like, or St. Thomas would be a better place if, and I don't want to pick up St. Thomas. I know there's 10 municipalities in your riding that all need similar things or different things. And you have to talk to those mayors and those councils too.
Absolutely. And when you take a look at Elgin-Middlesex-London, and we're here in St. Thomas, but the issues that are really facing the province, our province, are the issues facing this riding.
Right.
Whether it's economic growth and stability,
Yep.
whether it's creating youth and getting youth into the workforce, getting skilled trades skilled up and educated properly and in place, and attracting people to fill the jobs that we know are coming to this region and to this riding. And healthcare, let's get it out there. We have got major heavy lifting to do in that particular arena, and that's throughout the province, but here in Elgin-Middlesex-London, and it's a priority. And I'm really pleased to see Sylvia Jones, Minister Jones, be appointed to that role. She's experienced, she's knowledgeable, and
she will do phenomenal
she's
in
going to do a
healthcare.
good job. And already, it's been fun getting to know. I knew it like you, Joe. Like, we go back a fair way, and I know a lot of the ministers already, a lot of the members, and it's.
But now finding the funnel, finding the path, finding the
and that you pick your lane and you go. We're not going to get it all solved overnight, but whether it's issues related to healthcare, whether it's job creation and finding, like, labor is crucial to our success in this province.
Yeah, and we really have a lack of labor in some of our industries right now. And not always the ones you would think, but at every level. Our hospitals having some trouble because of staffing issues. Our the court system is having some troubles because of staffing issues. The city, even the city itself, somebody said, well, some of the downtown planners aren't done yet. No, we haven't been able to hire the summer students we would normally hire in our parks department. And why is that? What are we missing? What do we need to look for? And it will take all levels of government to talk and decide, how can we get those that currently aren't working into a job. There's lots of jobs out there, and let's make it work.
I was really excited last week. We were in Fanshawe, and they opened a new welding lab, a virtual welding lab for training. And the province gave money, and I was pleased to be there on behalf of Minister McNaughton and see what it can do. And it's exciting to see the opportunities, but I come from the business background where well done is better than well said. So we've got to make sure that we deliver on what we promise. That's the key.
Yeah, we hear a lot of accolades or discussion, but the real thing is we've got to get it done, and that's where we are right now.
I kind of heard that during the provincial election.
Yeah. No, well, I from another level of government where you can't just talk about it. You better get back home. You come from riding Elgin-Middlesex-London, where it's, what did you do for me today? And it will be that way. And so it's great to hear that people are already sharing that.
And I'm glad it is that way.
Yeah.
Because accountability is key in anything we do. And again, I'm looking forward to that, and really looking forward to listening and learning. Canada Day was a blast.
Yeah, tell me about Canada Day, because that was always the longest day of my life as a member of Parliament.
And it was we started on Thursday night. I retired from Master Feeds, I think at about 5 o'clock or 5:30. Went home, changed quickly, and we ended up in Fingal.
Yeah.
And had a great little kickoff there, and then got up early Saturday, and we were in Dorchester. We went to Port Burwell. We came to St. Thomas for a bit. Then
no tickets on between Dorchester and Port Burwell, because the former member of Parliament, can't remember his name, got a pretty good one day.
I heard that he was not respecting
Canada Day. You would think he'd get a break. Yeah.
So, but we were in West Lorne, we were in Dutton Dunwich, and ended up back in St. Thomas. So it was a fantastic day. Met most of the mayors or many of the local dignitaries, the local leaders.
And the service club guys, they're the ones who run those communities.
Darn right.
Know that, eh?
And what was a blast was, I think post-COVID, people are so happy to just be out. Yeah. And the crowds maybe in some weren't as big as they saw in other years. Some were just as big, but it was so fun to be out and see the enthusiasm, the happiness in people's face.
Yeah. It was, and it was. I did the same thing here in St. Thomas in Pinafore Park, even in a driving rainstorm for a period. It was raining Friday afternoon. It was, but isn't this great? Isn't this a better place to be than where we've been the last couple of years? So you'll get to know the mix of being the member of provincial parliament is a lot of that, and a lot of buckling down in Queen's Park, or a lot of at the constituency office here. But if you can give it a good mix of those things, I call it the kissing babies and actually getting things done time, it's just perfect. Great. Do we have any questions from any of our online folks yet?
We sure do. We've got a bunch coming in.
Okay.
All right. So we've got let's see here. One from Adam Montgomery. He says, nurses are short right now and getting burnt out. My wife being one of them working short. What kind of incentive plan of action is there from the PPC party to bring more nurses into the picture?
Well, I think, and that's the question of the day, healthcare. Let's just cut to the chase. Healthcare's been an issue. It certainly came to the fore, or it was highlighted during COVID, but it's been a problem for about 30 years. So I say, Joe, we need to bring about 12,000 more nurses quickly into speed, and even more quickly. And it's easier said than done, but we have to find a way to attract them and pay them properly to get it done. I would also suggest that we have to find ways to incent this province, incent people to come to this province with the same skill set. We're not going to turn them out overnight out of our colleges and universities, and maybe convince people once, and I know they're burnt out, and I respect that, totally respect that, but to come back and be part of the noble profession that it is.
And being a help to that. You're right. We can't start a class at our community colleges and university tomorrow and expect somebody to be trained that year. It's going to take a while, but we've got to start that too. We can't not do that, but then do all the things we can to attract people back into, in our case, the St. Thomas Elgin General Hospital, and to help us do that. Adam, thank you for the question, and thanks for the conversation last week. Adam and I had a great long conversation last week about food trucks and other things. So, what else have you got, Graydon?
All right, so a follow-up to that question is about Bill 124, which limits nurses getting a raise over 1%. And Adam's wondering if there's going to be a change to that, and especially in relation to the raises that similar professions like firefighters or police get.
Well, I can say that that's under consideration right now. I think if you listen to what the Premier said earlier, it will be reviewed and reviewed quickly. So it's a great point, and it's the number one issue, I believe, facing this province, Joe, and it's got to get under control. I think we're starting to see a little bit of easing on housing prices and a little bit of easing, to get
on availability.
Yeah. So, and we don't like to see interest rates go too high. Absolutely. Business doesn't like to see it. Personal debt doesn't like to experience it, but we have to get it under control. And I think with that in mind, people have to be paid fairly.
Well, and Adam, thank you for saying that too. The police and fire you're speaking of are municipal costs for the most part. I'm not suggesting there isn't the OPP, but we also are looking at that from two different levels of government. But look, we've got to make this thing work again, and we've got to get people, those that can work, back to work and doing the jobs that they're trained to do, and make it fair for them to do it. So I think you're saying the same things. Minister Jones will understand that too. Certainly from a healthcare point of view, fantastic facilities. We need the people in them.
But it's not just a cost; it's an investment. Yeah. Investment in infrastructure, whether it's hospitals. We need to invest in new hospitals, bigger hospitals, better capacity where needed, but investment in people. And it's not just throwing money at it. It's attracting the people that can come to that profession, pay them fairly, respectfully, and let's get the job done.
Agreed.
Okay, next one is from Steve Ogden. He's saying, question for Rob. What's your take on carrying on with our current electoral system, which was started 150 plus years ago? How can that possibly be truly representative?
Well, that's been a debate for many, many elections and many, many years. And whether we like it or not, we live in a parliamentary democracy. And I, for one, think it works. I must confess, I was very disappointed in the turnout in the last provincial election. And I hope we get a better turnout this fall in the municipal elections.
Right.
But it's concerning for sure. Usually when it's a change election, it's a higher turnout. This one wasn't, obviously. So I think that but unfortunately I saw it at the doors the last couple of weeks of the campaign. I got a sense people that were going to support or not support me or whoever just weren't really as keen to get out and vote. And to me, that's the number one democratic right we have, and we should exercise as citizens, is to vote in a free democracy.
Well, and Steve, I know Steve, and he and I have had more than one conversation on other forms of representation, be it proportional representation or other electoral systems. But you know the rules going into an election of what you have to do. And I've had a number of people come to me after your election that said, well, the turnout was terrible. And I said, yeah, I would say that if I had a candidate that didn't win. Right? The ones that won got their vote out, and that is part of what the parliamentary democracy is. If indeed you haven't attracted enough people at the polls, you likely didn't attract enough great ideas during the election to cause people to come do that. Now, I just made it very simplistic, but we don't have a party system at the municipal level. It is available in some parts of Canada, but we don't have a party system, and we have to go out and sell ourselves. The only vote that counts is the one for me in that case, and it works just as well in the parliamentary democracy we have. I mean, we all know the saying, democracy is the worst form of government except for all the others.
Find me a better, as Churchill said, give me a better alternative,
right.
and I'll vote for it.
Yeah.
So Steve, the other thing is, municipally, we tried a ranked ballot in London the last municipal election, and it got tossed as a form of electoral process for this upcoming election. So,
well, it was a solution in search of a problem in my mind. But we're going fully online and phone here in St. Thomas. That's not happening everywhere, but we're trying as another way of. Is it because it's too hard to get out to vote? I don't think it is, and I really hope it would never be that. But if that's what your excuse was for not doing it, we're going to take that away from you. Pick up your smartphone, pick up your computer, and you'll be able to go online through the advanced polls and on polling day and vote in seconds for the mayor and the school board trustees and the other councillors. So
so I think I understand Steve's concern. My bigger concern, frankly, is voter turnout.
Great.
If we can't get 50% of people to vote, shame on us. We need to do a better job of getting people to realize the importance of their franchise, electoral franchise.
Graydon?
We've got another comment. It was kind of coming at the same time. It's from Steve Joseph. And what he was saying, and it's a little more combative. It says, nurses were heroes according to the PC government. Now what's the plan to treat your heroes with respect?
Well, and I mean, I'll start off with it. Absolutely. It's about treating everybody who's employed in our province with respect and creating jobs that people want to go to. My mother was a nurse her whole life and was always proud of her doing it. And she was always proud of being it. And I think COVID has caused a lot of angst among all of professions, but certainly in our healthcare. So, Rob, your thoughts on how do we bring the pride back to those types of jobs? And it isn't only just a financial paycheck, but that is part of it, of course.
Well, I think, unfortunately, and I think everyone would agree, when COVID hit, the world wasn't ready, North America wasn't ready, Canada wasn't ready, Ontario wasn't perfectly ready. We just were not ready for this type of global pandemic. Right. And so, unfortunately, the frontline workers who are the real heroes, and it's not just nurses, it was teachers, it was the factory workers, the food producers, the truckers, the people that got it done and had to get it done to keep our society, our economy going. Yep. So, unfortunately, our hospital system, nurses were overworked, overburdened, and overstressed. And I get it. It's a shame. But we have to rebuild on that. And we have to attract people back. As you said, it's a noble, wonderful profession. And you look at the hospital system in this province, in this country, it's supposedly supposed to be one of Canada's hallmark achievements. And I think we need to do a whole lot better job to keep that status up.
Agreed.
We've got a follow-up comment from Adam saying it's hard to keep within budget for sure while keeping people happy. Sorry about the audio there, guys. All right. It's hard to keep within budget for sure while keeping people happy, especially within our province being one of the most in debt. I do believe in the PC party to stay creative. I'm looking forward to seeing what you and Mr. Ford can bring to the table to get healthcare more stable, especially after COVID, where the economy has been very unstable.
Well, I would say our economy has grown. We lost over 300,000 jobs pre-2018,
Right.
and we've gained them all back and more.
Right.
So generally speaking, I think our economy has done better, in my opinion, in the COVID period. Not for everybody, for sure, but generally, you take a look at what the deficit projections were in this province, they're better than they thought. That being said, the economy is key to our future success. We have to keep the ball rolling in terms of economic growth, and whether it's new jobs, better jobs, whether it's getting shovels in the ground in the housing industry, we've got to get that done, and we've got to speed that up. And if we can keep the economy rolling and doing well with good GDP growth,
Yep.
which I think we can do, and creating an environment for business, for entrepreneurs, for people to succeed, not overtaxing them and keeping more of their money in their pocket, we're going to do a better job of creating that situation where we can invest back into hospital, roads, schools,
Right.
the infrastructure that we so badly need in this province.
And I'll second that. Growth has to pay for that. I mean, we are growing at a pretty rapid pace, and you're absolutely right. It's not 100% of careers, but it's a great number of them right now. Industries and service is growing, and if we can take that and turn that into the growth that we need, whether it's a way of modifying housing, in a sense, growing but at a more affordable rate, and all of the rest of the things municipalities like ours here in St. Thomas have to do to grow. It's not a perfect world, and I don't think there's been a time ever where it was. Everything's sticking on the right things. It's always been, let's take advantage of what is growing. Let's take advantage of growing our economy in that way, or with those spoils, if you will, the taxes from that, and helping areas that aren't doing quite as well, whether it's healthcare or mental health or some other areas.
But I will come back and say the biggest threat, again, I believe, to this province is inflation.
Yeah.
In this country, we need to rein that down, and it's going to be painful in some areas, but we have to keep that in check. It's been, you can't continue to live on debt, and I think it's important that, and I think the Ford government and the Ontario PCs and the provincial government have done a good job of managing that. But we're right, we have too high a collective debt in this province, and I think we're on the track to keep it consistently lower and in the lower part of our overall revenues.
We did a significant thing in this last week alone in helping with inflation for those people who have to get up and go to work every day and take their car. Certainly here in rural Ontario, farmers who have to get up every day and put gas or diesel in that tractor in order to grow food, right? By dropping the tax part of the fuels.
Now the provincial portion of the gas tax was dropped on July 1st, as promised in the election, 5.7 cents. Now, does that take us to the promised land? No, but I think it offsets some of the other burdens and tax increases and, inflationary type costs. And so it's.
Well, I did laugh at the gas pump still this morning.
Oh,
I
yeah.
went, yeah, that's down, but holy, that's not down. But it's down. So I thank the Premier for what he's been able to get done, and we'll need to make sure that we continue as consumers to consume properly, and hopefully that the province will carry on with anti-inflationary measures like that.
Okay. Another question in from Steve Peters. It's, what is the cost of the removal of the tax?
What's the cost of the removal of the tax?
The cost of the removal of the tax is. I don't have the exact number, but it's when you take a look at what it's reduced, we are going with the growth that we have projected through our revenue streams. I know more than offset what we're saving, and frankly, it's not that I don't care. I do care, but I think consumers, people in St. Thomas, people just running in this province, needed a break.
Yeah.
And, at the rate, our deficit is going to be lower than projected, as it was last fall. So I think it's a promise the Premier made, and it's a cost absolutely to the purse, the treasury, right. But better, it's a savings to the people of this province.
Well, and not just the people of this province, Steve, the city of St. Thomas also. We have, I mean, two City of St. Thomas trucks have gone by since we're sitting out here. We run a transit system. We have people who have to get up and go to work here. This is all a savings to all of that. So yes, there's an absolute hit on the tax side of what that 5 cents or 7 cents would have been, but there's a savings to everything downstream of that, whether it's municipalities and they're spending on picking up garbage or running a transit system, or the farmer who has to go out today and start harvesting that wheat crop that is so needed around the world. And boy, we've seen some golden fields around here too. So
Yeah, it's maturing pretty well.
yeah,
And the other thing in specifics, if you want to see specifically, if you want some good bedtime reading, go look up Minister Bethlenfalvy's budget online, and it builds in the realities of the spending, the cuts, the investments that were proposed just before the election. And we hope in the first couple of weeks of August we'll get a throne speech and we'll get that budget passed.
yeah, great.
Okay, next question.
Oh,
We've got another one from Steve Joseph about teachers and education. He says, with the teachers' contract negotiations coming up, do you support the tone of Premier Ford's statement, teachers better be in the classrooms in September? And he says teachers want to be in the classrooms and have nowhere else to go.
Well, better be in the classrooms, hopefully, absolutely need to be in the classrooms. We've had a tough go with our kids in schools over the last 2 years. They need to be back in school. And I think, I'm for one, I think choosing Minister Lecce to come back in education is a really smart move. He understands the file very well. And I was talking to him last week at the legislature when we were both sworn in, and he's excited about we want to get these negotiations done, please God, this summer, so that come post Labor Day, we're ready to get back to quote unquote normal.
right. And children sitting at a desk in a classroom
Absolutely.
instead of at home in front of a computer.
Absolutely.
So,
Great. And you're finding this funny.
So I believe my wife is on, but she's talking
Your wife?
Yes.
established media.
Yes.
And she said, yes, all education and school workers.
A what?
All in support of education and school workers, I think. But she's replying as established media. I think this has happened one other time before. So.
Great. Well,
Good
Jess,
stuff.
thank you for your comments, and we love you too.
Yeah.
No.
I want to touch on the agricultural side of things, because you're now representing agriculture in Ontario with your new role. What are your plans going forward with that?
Well, yeah, I'm going to be a parliamentary assistant to the Minister of Agriculture, OMAFRA, Ontario Minister of Agriculture, Food and Rural Affairs. So, I'm excited about the role for a couple of reasons. Number one, obviously, it's my background. I spent a career in agribusiness, and I have a farm and have been around the rural part of this province and this country my whole life, and I think I can add some value there. We had a great meeting this week. I met with the minister and Trevor Jones, who's our neighbor MPP, Chatham-Kent-Leamington, who's also another parliamentary assistant to Ag with experience in horticulture, fruit and vegetable industry. Right. So I think we, no pun intended, ham and egg it pretty well. Mm-hmm. So we met with OMAFRA officials, and we met with the minister's officials, and basically got a briefing on the key files going forward. And I think the key thing about ag, and I don't think people know this enough, and during the campaign and before and after kind of my Rotary Lions Club speech, is 1 in 10 people in this province are employed in the agri-food sector, from the farm gate to the consumer's plate. Right. So it's an essential, crucial industry to this province. And frankly, I don't think it gets enough respect or attention at all levels of government and in society. I'll ask you this, Graydon, Mayor Joe, what's the largest what manufacturing sector employs the most people in this province?
And I think many people would say the auto sector.
Absolutely.
Right?
That's what everyone says. It's food and beverage.
Food and beverage. I know that because I'm also in that field.
You're in the game.
And we talk about it a lot. If we were all one big thing, it would be very easy to get people's attention. But because it's individual farmers, individual restaurants, individual manufacturers, it's a lot harder to get people's attention all at once.
Close to 1 million people. And it's whether it's at the farm gate and we met with the different commodity groups throughout the province, chicken producers, dairy producers, grain growers, the beekeepers, honey producers, Federation of Agriculture, Ontario Federation of Agriculture. There was, I think, 40 some odd stakeholders online at one point. So it's good. I know a lot of the people, and I hope I want to be a good advocate for ag and food, but I also want to be a really good advocate for EML. So I think I've got a kind of a cool hat, a dual purpose hat here that I can hopefully bring some change and advocate well for.
I think in that ministry, Rob, you have the opportunity to be able to do so, because there is so much agriculture and diverse agriculture in Elgin-Middlesex-London that you're able to represent them. Yeah.
To cash crop, to special beans, to the dairy. I was at the Elgin County Holstein Club last night. I think it's 105 years old, and I'll give a shout out to Dave Jenkins and Maureen, his wife, who did a great job, and the Jenkins family, who are over 100 years in the Holstein business and farming business. So great folks, and I love it. And then one of the things people always say, you've got such a big riding, and I said, I love it because it's
there's a neighbor on every corner.
That's right. That's right.
It doesn't make it as big when you can stop just about anywhere and be a friend.
It's fun.
So to follow on that, you're one of the few people, I believe, when during your campaign, you were saying you're going to protect farmland, protect agricultural land. Can you speak a little bit more about how you're going to do that now that you're in office?
Well, you grow food off good land, and I think it's been tough, right? Because as this province grows, like grain, in the next 5 years, there's going to be another 2 million people, 2.5 million people in this province, and 1 million of them living right around the Great Lakes regions. So where are they going to live? Where are they going to go to school? Where are they going to go to the hospital? Where are they going to work? Where are they going to live? So we're going to have to accommodate that. And, I believe in the housing side of things. You go in, you go up, and you repurpose where you can, but that's not going to fully meet the demands that this province needs and this region needs in terms of many of the infrastructure requirements. That being said, I think OMAFRA is going to do a great job of continuing to support innovation and research, so we continue to increase our yields, increase our production, increase our performance in all sectors of agriculture and food. We're going to continue. I think the biggest opportunity we have in this province, again, I'm a little bit biased when it comes to ag and food, is to attract further processing and further processing industry to this region. We've got the people, I call it, we live in the virtual Garden of Eden here. We've got the land, we've got the people, we've got the weather. I can tell you right now, in parts of Elgin County, we wish we had more rain yesterday. Some got more, some got less.
Always the case.
But it's a crucial time of year, but when have we really had a crop failure in this region?
To a desolation type of crop, it's been a long while.
Yeah, and I don't remember one since I've lived here. It's up and down. No. My point being, we've got all the elements for success, and I think we need to attract more agri-food. Yes, great to get battery and automotive companies throughout Windsor and Woodstock and Ingersoll. That's all great, but I think we can look at food processing and further processing as a natural fit here, right in this region.
Very good. Yes, because I know that the processing is important, and just jumping on the processing side, there's a cricket plant that's opening up in London.
Yes,
Aspire Foods. I know it well.
Yes.
And I'm proud to say that we were helpful in getting those folks started. When we, being my former employer, it's weird for me to say that after a lifetime, but Master Feeds, who I worked with for decades, they are going to be supplying the feed to those crickets. And basically what those crickets are fed is chicken feed. It's the same as a poultry diet. So it's mash, and it's amazing how much they can consume.
End up being protein.
There's a protein source. Yeah. Primarily that plant will provide protein to the pet food industry. Yeah. And here's an interesting fact. Since COVID, and I've had a disturbing, if you watched the news last night, it was a little disturbing, but I'll start off with the good news, the interesting news. How many more dogs are in Canada since the start of COVID? 1 million more dogs. And so we had a business out west that a lot of it's pet food, so it grew exponentially during COVID. But unfortunately, what we're starting to see now that people are back to work,
the return of those
and
pets.
the humane societies, and it's sad. So I would give a shout out to all those who are thinking of getting a pet some way, somehow. Go to the animal shelters and adopt one,
Get a rescue.
because a lot of those dogs are well bred and beautifully put together and temperament, and give them a good home.
If I could just jump in on the agricultural land use, certainly as a member of parliament for a number of years, and now as the mayor of a community, we have to take all of those into account. Rob mentioned grow higher, grow denser, do all of the other things we can
Repurpose.
do inside the four walls of St. Thomas. But we also we are growing. People are choosing St. Thomas as where they will live. And we have to be able to grow with not only housing for those people, not only parks for people who are choosing St. Thomas, but jobs for people who are choosing St. Thomas. So we'll do it on as small a footprint as we can possibly do. But we can't close up shop. We can't all of a sudden say, well, that's it. That's as big as St. Thomas can be, when people still want to come here and live. And so I'll count on my counterparts at the municipal level and at the federal level to help us do that better. And OMAFRA and the other agriculture groups talking to us too about how to do that better. We've got a number of locations inside our community where we can do housing in a denser manner. But I can't build a 10-story high industrial facility. I can do that with housing, but we can't always be done with jobs. So we need to be able to look at jobs in that way, do it as close as you can and as tight as you can in an industrial facility near St. Thomas. But that's what we'll do, and we'll continue to do it, because we cannot say, you can't come here, we don't have a job for you.
Right. I think, Mayor Joe, you're referencing the fact that there's 800 acres just been assigned for industrial use by St. Thomas, which came out just after Rob was sworn in.
Right.
So, yeah, I know. I did think it was interesting that Rob was campaigning on not using agricultural land for industry or expansion.
And wastefully, we should never do that.
Yeah. And then immediately that got announced, and I was like, oh, this could be interesting in social media.
I'll put on the mayor of St. Thomas hat, and Rob will put on the MPP's hat, and we'll decide how to do it best.
Yeah, no, I think that's fair. And I think we need jobs, and we need high-paying jobs for our community.
Yeah.
I think we've been hurting since the Ford plant closed up and all the ancillary businesses around there in the automotive industry. So it's it's a hard decision to have to make.
It's a balance, and it's really tough but at the same time, where we can and where we have to preserve good class 1, 2, and 3 land in this province.
Mm-hmm.
And it's but when you take a look at where most of the good land is where most of the people are.
That's the way it goes. It's a natural
it's a balance we have to find, and it's not easy. It's going to be difficult, but you can't stop progress, as Joe says. But we also have to feed ourselves. And I would point out, this province does a tremendous job. If you think of, that Foodland Ontario, that brand is the second most recognizable provincial brand in Ontario, and it's a great brand. And if Steve Peters is still on, he was part of that when he was Minister of Agriculture, and it's been well ensconced in people's minds. And
it's what we do well in Southern Ontario.
And I will also say that when you think of agri-food, we are net exporters of food in this province, not importers. We import some, that we can't grow, absolutely, because of weather, because of seasonality.
Or product, right.
Yeah, and certain products. But we net export. So we do a really good job and continue to do a good job of adding yield, of adding performance, and building on those networks. And that, I think, again, bodes well for the future in this region as we continue to look at further expansion of food processing and further processing to meet those needs.
We need to do more with it here instead of putting it in a rail car and sending it somewhere else. And if we can do that, that's industry too, folks, and we're happy to take the jobs.
And St. Thomas and our riding would be a great place for some of these places to come, I think. I hope.
Absolutely.
I'm going to work hard to do that.
Well, Rob, I want to thank you for joining us. I know you're a busy guy now, and you've got a lot of things to do, and you've answered all the questions that came in. So I appreciate that, and thanks to our viewers for sharing the questions and joining the conversation on our community forum.
Super. Well, thank you, Graydon, and thank you, Mayor. It's I've known Joe for a long, long time, and I think
this is going to be fun, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. And it's not like we had to get to know each other, or Karen for that matter, or a lot of the mayors I've met, some I hadn't met, but I've pretty well met out them all. And I look forward to AMO in the next month, heading to the
and what's AMO?
The Association of Municipalities for Ontario. It's our largest group that we in St. Thomas belong to. 3 or 4 of the councillors and the city administration are coming with me to Ottawa to meet a number of the ministers of the new government. Funny enough, most of them are in their same position. Right. So this isn't no introductions needed. It's let's start talking. It's perfect.
So I've been reaching out to the other 9 municipalities to make sure I want to be part of the delegation, to listen and learn and try and advocate on behalf of all of Elgin-Middlesex-London. So thank you for having me. We appreciate it. Yeah. It's great to be in St. Thomas. I'll end with this. The best kept secret that I had in Elgin-Middlesex-London was St. Thomas. Yeah. And as I drove throughout this riding, throughout the election, before and now after, it's a great community. I love to see the growth, and the people are great. And I love the murals, the change of the downtown. It's getting more and more beautiful. And I think you and Steve Peters were part of it. My office at Queso Station, I think, is probably the nicest location.
Well, who's got an office like that anywhere? You'll find.
No, but I mean,
other MPPs are really jealous.
I know, but the history of that place, you walk through the halls, it's pretty cool. It's, not fancy, but it's got.
I remember when it was way less fancy.
I know, but I mean,
first took the station over. But,
I love the history of the place, and it. I hope I represent it well. So thank you for your time.
Well, thanks for coming out tonight, Rob. We've got a few things we need to share still, Graydon, with this weekend. Yeah. For those of you that are joining us tonight, Nostalgia Nights is Saturday downtown. All right, and we need to tell people how much Nostalgia Nights was last year. You couldn't move downtown St. Thomas, so come on out early. 4 o'clock it starts. Get on out and see the old bars and see all the neat things that are going on. We told you last week we've got the bombshell beauties.
Bombshell beauties are coming out. Yeah.
You got to destroy a car. You can use a baseball bat or a sledgehammer. Come on out and do that, right?
Courtesy of the auto guys.
Well, we're also thinking we're going to put people's. We'll call that priority parking and see who parks there.
Yeah.
And then, sorry, your car get beat up tonight. No, that's a bad thing. And just the people who come and show their cars at Nostalgia Nights is an incredible piece where we can do that. And so we're looking forward to that. That's this week. Next week,
the Colors.
Oh, Colors is also Saturday. Colors at the beach at Port Stanley. Southeast Asia tradition, I guess, right, is where you
the Holi Festival.
Right.
You have the chalk colors, and you throw them
colors at each other and come out of it like looking like a rainbow, and it will be fun on Port Stanley Beach starting at 1 o'clock on Saturday. So from our East Indian communities and Sikh communities and other Indian groups, the Colors is something apparently to really see and look forward to. So looking forward to trying to do both with Nostalgia Nights and Colors on the same day. And that's this weekend. The next weekend, we've got the Mural Fest. And boy, if you haven't been downtown this week, come on downtown. Right. Yeah. You wait till you see the new murals that are already started. It is really great to see what's already out there. And during Mural Fest next Saturday, other murals were being painted. I understand you're working in the market that day, finishing a mural there. The back of Central Elgin Church, the
curling club.
Look, if you got a wall in this community that isn't painted, it's a shame, because we're going to paint it for all of you. The Mural Fest is a fantastic thing to do. Also, some little mini murals from our friend at Van Pelt's, and
Sarah Van Pelt. These mini murals. Now we can talk about them. We teased them last week.
Okay,
but she has collected artwork from all these artists across St. Thomas Elgin County, and she's made them into these tiny little murals.
Right.
And there's a bunch of
And I
elevated
mean
parts.
tiny little murals with little people watching the tiny little murals. You almost have to hunt for them at the locations where they are. They're kind of hidden in the little corner, the front corner of a business, and there they are on the ground. Wow. Right. I'm anxious to do my wandering around and going, I know that one.
Yep.
So, right.
No, it's so cool. And of course I'm biased maybe because like, you know, I would love it regardless, but my artwork is included. So this is 3 of my pieces. And they're going in.
Well, we're seeing more and more of your art everywhere we go. But
I've been ramping it up because it's the whole idea of coming back to St. Thomas. So I'm gonna come back to St. Thomas, I'm gonna make artwork. You know, I'm gonna use the video work, that'll support my artwork habit. And but slowly over COVID, my artwork started to support all my other stuff. So I'm slowly transitioning into a full-time artist.
Wow. Full-time artist. He drones on and on with his drones. He is just everywhere. We've got lots of other stuff coming up. We even have kind of a bit of a drone fest as part of the Jack Gainey night at Emsley Field.
I can't wait to see this. You remember, I think I first saw it in when the NFL was going on, right? I think they did the American flag, all the drones were flying around. We have this coming to St. Thomas in the Emsley Ballpark for the Jack Gainey celebration, which is on. I think it's July 27th.
July 27th, yes.
And it's going to be fantastic.
And it's kind of a drone fest. There's a lot of drones doing things.
Right. Yeah, they're going to fly around and do some kind of a drone show, which I'm very excited about. Look, we can do it. We're doing it in St. Thomas this summer. That's for sure. It is preventing me from doing some of the things I like to do in the summer, but I'm back for each of these things that I can possibly be here for. So it's great. You know, it used to be you'd be in St. Thomas and you'd go everywhere else to do everything. Now it's like, well, I can't go away because I'm so excited to do what's happening here.
Right. Well, who's been to a drone fest?
I haven't.
I will have been by the time this summer is over. Right. So, it is great for us to talk about it. Great. I'm glad we're doing Mayor's Update because it's now more instant. The things we talk about this week are happening next week rather than, well, let's wait till February and see what we see. No, St. Thomas is booming and doing.
Totally. And we've got the Wildflowers Farm Market on Fridays.
Yes.
Horton Market on
Saturdays. I mean, this Saturday is just, and then the following week, a similar thing. What's going on the Friday night? What's going on the Saturday? Where can we go then? What are you doing to fill in? Excuse me, I need a break just to spend some time with family. This is going to work out. Right.
And the Chamber of Commerce, they've started putting out what's happening in Elgin County and St. Thomas posts.
Right.
So they just put one up for this past week. It's going to what's happening this next week. That's fantastic. So there's all these places you can go. There's my FM's page.
We can brag on ourselves, Graydon, and it's a good thing. We can finally brag on ourselves and are doing a good job of it. Hey, have we got things we need to fix still? Absolutely, we do. Right, and we're closing part of Sunset in order to put water and sewers in, and we know we have to do it. We're really sorry because it's kind of in the way, but we'll continue to do the things cities have to do in order to do the things that cities really want, and that's what we're doing.
Totally. And we should have some trivia questions.
Got a trivia question. Go ahead.
Got some great trivia questions. We have trivia questions from Steve Peters and also the Friends of the Library.
Okay.
And they've got an event coming in. I'm going to talk about that a little bit later when I get into their question. I'm going to start with Steve's. So his question is, for the Caps Off property area, what are some of the previous uses
of this building, of this area?
This building. Yeah. So if you can come up with that, then we'll enter you in the draw for the fine art 8x8 fine art print that I got.
Great.
For this one.
That was one from our Councillor Peters, and he just loves to help us with trivia.
Mm-hmm.
So what else happened here on the grounds of where Caps Off is now? I mean, okay, before farming it. I mean, after buildings were there, right?
Just writing that in here. What's going on with council right now?
Nothing. It's summer.
Nothing at all.
We will have a council meeting on Monday night, and it's a long one because it's the only one we'll have in this month. And so it tends to happen to us every year. In order to give councilors some time to spend off and do other things, we go back to one council meeting a month, and this one is coming up on Monday night. So next week we'll talk about what happened to council, and it will be a fair bit, because I've seen the agenda and there's a lot going on. Anybody answering our trivia question yet?
Yeah, so we've got Matt Sharp saying it was Railway City Brewery's first location, which is true. He's saying a milk distribution center.
A milk distribution center. That is one of the things. It was a dairy.
Yep, the St. Thomas City Dairy. Yeah. So Matt gets 2 entries.
Okay.
Face is a feed mill. I don't have that on the list here, but she says it's only a guess.
Okay.
Adam Montgomery says, does this council meeting involve food trucks?
Not this one, but I have had conversations with the Downtown Development Board this week or today about it also, and we're moving forward with some of the changes he and I spoke on.
Very good.
More likely for next year to really change the bylaw, to tweak the bylaw a little bit on the 6 food trucks allowed. Yes. And again, thank you, Adam, for your help last week.
Adam's got another question about an entertainment section, and he's saying it would be amazing, like for the city. And this goes back to when we were talking about development areas, mini golf, batting cages, go-karts, pool and slides, general games. He has no doubt that it would generate revenue back and draw people into the city. Has that come on the table at all? Is that
certainly? Look at the city doesn't run those things. The city says yes to the zoning of those things, and so we did have a conversation a couple of weeks ago about the mini golf course on the entry to Pinafore Park. I think it's back on the agenda on Monday night to say yes to adding that as one of the approved uses, and we'll see how that goes at council. But those types of ideas have to come from businesses, from people who say they want to do this in St. Thomas, and then we help them out, find them the zoning to do it.
very good? All right. So we've got some answers for those questions. You know what? We'll say that's good for the locations. Those are good answers. I have 2 entries for Matt. I'm just putting them into the app here so I don't forget. And now from the Friends of the Library, how many movie theaters in total were there in the city at one time historically?
Okay, so how many movie theaters were there? Does that count the New Galaxy Theater? Do we add it in?
No, all at one time.
All at one time that were here and others were open. Okay.
But if you can name the ones that were here,
yep,
I'll add you in to the draw for answering that. So I know one of them, but the other ones I didn't know. They were before my time. But we got 4 here.
Who's got them?
Nobody.
Okay.
All right. And the other trivia question is, what was the first U.S.-based non-railway factory to be brought to St. Thomas?
The first non-railway
factory to be brought to St. Thomas.
Well, there was some beer manufacturers. I don't know. We'll see what people say on this one.
Yeah. All right. Hint. It was built east of First Ave.
East of First Ave. So, wow.
That should be a pretty big hint for everybody. And the second hint is it's after World War II. Steve Ogden just got it. Timken.
Okay.
Yep.
Well, there were roller bearings. There was no roller bearings involved in railways? I don't know.
Nope. It's Steve snuck it in. Beth Beecroft got in just after Steve, but Steve snapped it. Matt Sharp is saying capital, but Adam already got the capital. And he's saying the other was near Hiawatha.
Wow.
There's 3 other names for those theaters. What other things are happening in the city right now? Anything going on?
Pardon?
Any other things going on in the city?
No, I think those are, it's summer. So you've got all the things that summer does. Canada Day was a big weekend, right? So that happened pretty well. But
Oh, Canada Day was incredible. There's so much stuff going on.
Yeah. Well, I know you were down doing the tractor pull, and I was at Pinafore Park. And of course, let's give another shout out to the Kinsmen, the Optimists, and all of the people who helped with the Pinafore Canada Day, including park staff. They do a great job on big events like that. We've got some other events coming up at Pinafore Park this year, and we're really happy to have that as a great showcase in our community.
All right. So now I'm going to pull up the next part, which is the Friends of the Library. They've got a auction coming up.
I'll do that, and I'll be right back.
Okay. All right. So The Friends of the Library have an auction coming up for Time Wall Auctions. It's dying for something to read this summer. The sale starts on July 12th, and Friends of the Library have an online auction. So you just have to go to timewallauctions.com to go in there and check it out. Now, I have an image, but it's had an issue playing it here on the live feed here. So I'm trying to like pull that up and pop that into the feed here because it's pretty funny. Beth, you are entered in. I believe that the Opera House is... Oh, no, it's not. It's not the Opera House. Oh, you guys are so close. Thanks, Adam. Yeah, no. All right. So there's 3 more theaters. One starts with G. Another one starts with an O, and the other one starts with a C, and it's not the capital, it's another one. All right. Dun, dun, dun. And then I'm going to bring this the picture in for the auctions because it's pretty awesome. All right, this is the image for the Friends of the Library. Pull my graphic off the bottom of that. So just go to timewallauctions.com and you can join in their auction and take advantage of all the awesome stuff that they're going to have up for offer. All right, looks like we've got some other questions coming or answers coming in here. Granada, Steve Peters takes it. And actually, and yeah, Steve Peters got all 3 actually. So he's going to get 3 entries into the draw. So the answers were Granada, the Odeon, Columbia, and the Capitol for theaters. And all 4 of them were open at the same time in St. Thomas. So thanks to the Friends of the Library for those trivia questions coming in as well. So thanks to them for the trivia questions, as well as Steve Peters, who got the other answers, which is fantastic. I'm going to add Steve Peters in here. Into this. All right. Yeah, we've got fantastic historian in Steve. He is an excellent resource for all of the things that are going on. All right, any questions for me, guys? I'm just sitting here. Air Joe will be back shortly. We just had to take a quick hop out. But what a great show. What a fantastic guest Rob was for answering all the questions that people had coming in. Faye says newbies can't play trivia. Adam's asking me what kind of a commitment does it take to run established media? I don't know. It takes a pretty huge commitment. It's pretty ridiculous, but I love doing it. And it's fun. It's fun to just kind of get out in the community, take pictures, share with everybody, share shows like this with everybody, and just kind of connect with the community and help create a forum. I mean, it's one of those things that I love about our community is the fact that we chat and we talk, and I just want to create something that could connect us a little bit more, especially with social media.
Well, something I'll add to that is, where would our community be without it? At this moment, we just don't have, I don't know, what do you call it? Big city media? We've got a better way of telling our story using established media, so we do it.
Well, yeah, I mean, that was one of the inspirations is I had, when I first came back, there were some stories that were being told about our community that just weren't true. But there was no...
Well, we're only hearing one side of it, whether it's a homeless issue or harm reduction issues. We needed to tell them all. And look, we've got great things going on in St. Thomas. We talk a lot about that now. And even through my own social media and the city's social media, we tell great stories about some of the things we do, like transit and other things. Yep. The story just wasn't getting out there at all. Mm-hmm. So thank you to established media for bringing that to us.
No problem. I think it's easy. What I saw when I came back is that it's easy to take a narrative that plays well with stereotypes. Yeah. So we're rural communities. We were like, okay, here's this uneducated rural community that has, very little to say and not a huge media sphere to defend them when people say nasty things about them. I don't want to get into what was said is in specific, but I kind of went on like a rampage early on, and I was messaging these companies that were saying these things, the media companies, and they didn't really care. is what it kind of
No, it sold newspapers or it sold radio time or whatever it might be.
Yeah.
And we don't try to do the stories just because people are contributing. We do the stories because they're what is happening in our community. And I joke a lot about being the largest cheerleader for St. Thomas, but sometimes that's what it takes. It is two or three of us talking about the good things that are going on for other people to go, hey, there's good things going on. Right?
Yeah, and sometimes it's not as exciting. It's not as like sensational. Like the truth isn't always.
No,
it's kind of like
we got mini murals.
Well, I mean, that's pretty exciting for me. I think that's pretty awesome.
I think it's phenomenal. But there'd be people out there going, did you just get really excited about mini murals? Yeah, I did. Yeah. It's really unique. Who else is doing it?
Nobody else. I've never heard of this happening in any other community. Right. Sarah Van Pelt came up with it and just did it.
Right.
You know,
it's great to see. Right? And then great big murals on top of it. Let's not like hide the fact that we are ruling the world right now on murals on our buildings. Yeah. But we added to that little tiny murals too. I love it. I love it.
Yeah. And Steve is saying, sorry, but we still need print media. And absolutely, print media is important. In fact, we've got hometown St. Thomas.
Right. There's a good story in there from a number of people. I saw Fran's picture in there today from Caps Off. Yeah. I did a story on housing. There's a great picture on the front cover.
Yeah. Right? I don't know if you recognize this. Yeah. This is one of my pieces. Right. So thanks to Jeff Ray for sharing that with everybody. But yeah, we absolutely need print media. I mean, the reality is I can't fund a whole print media empire on my own, but I can do a digital media one. And that's why I did what I could with what I had at the time and what I have right now.
And social media works for us too. From a quasi print point of view, you can get your short messages out and we'll continue to do that. Great. Mm-hmm. I can't be embarrassed by what we do. I can only be proud of what we do. It is great.
I don't know anybody else that is holding a community forum that's live every week. And we've been doing it for almost 4 years now.
I have had a couple of other municipal, whether they're mayors or councilors, who said during COVID, I did a couple of those, but we did them daily during COVID and now weekly through cheerleading, through talking about the great big things happening in our community. I wish every municipal mayor got out in front of questions like the ones we get, and some of them aren't smooth. I mean, some of them are.
I mean,
let's ask you the ones that kind of rip the skin off your back, but let's ask them, right? Let's talk about them and see if we can't do something about it. But mostly look at the great things we're able to do. So happy with it. Happy to have established media doing it.
Absolutely, and I love doing it. And Adam, thanks for the shout out. I love doing this, which is why I continue to do it. And I will, I'll just keep making it bigger and better. And Adam's asking about other shows, and yes, I have plans for shows. And one of the things is finding a way to fund it, so I can justify to Jess that I'm spending all this time doing this stuff. So that's a big part of it. So it's finding out the ways to fund the different projects. And if you want to support that, go to the Patreon and support it. I think I make $100, $120 a month is what I make for established media.
Yep.
So if you want to help increase that, please do.
Yep. Be great to do and helps us with this. And if you can think of other things we could do or talk or share, we're happy to do all of those things too. We've been very aware of our audience to say, what is it you want? How do you want us to do this? And so when we can grab a friend like Rob Flack tonight and just throw him on here and ask him hard questions that he didn't know were coming, right? That's what we need to do. It's what we do.
We advertised it. I think it was a couple days before, so people were to prepare their questions and get ready for it, and ask anything they had. And that's what I love about this forum. But I think we've kind of covered all the things. I've got all the names for the people that won all the prizes in here.
Perfect. And you, all right, great, perfect. I'm sorry I had to run away a little bit, but I am the mayor and things come up. Thank you. Hey, Graydon, next Wednesday. I know I spoke to the fire chief today, and maybe he can join us next Wednesday. I won't promise people that till we guarantee Dave Gregory will be on, but our new acting fire chief, our fire chief here in St. Thomas, and it'd be nice to talk about what does a fire chief do.
I would love that.
Yeah. I think most people would. Right? Can we do the show from a fire truck? No,
that would be amazing. Or maybe the fire hall.
Well, if I'm not mistaken, do we not have a business after 5 at the fire hall next Wednesday?
I don't know.
Well, if all this comes together, it'll be miraculous.
That would
right?
be amazing because
But
I've been missing.
Braden
the
and I
North
will
Side
stay
Pie.
there and do Mayor's Update afterwards. All right. Okay.
Cheers! I love it.
I like it. I'll wear a fire hat. Yeah.
Okay, I
Okay.
will too.
All right.
All right. Have a good week, everybody. Thanks for
y'all.
joining us. Thanks, Mayor Joe, and
Thanks.
thanks to Rob for coming out. Bye, guys.